Hello there. This is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. I hope you're all doing well, and in this video we are going to be discussing a little bit of controversy here into the regards of Ahsoka and her Boba Fett episode that we saw in the book of Boba Fett. We're going to go ahead and hop right on into it, what this actually may potentially mean for the future of Star Wars overall, for one thing, on a greater scale, but also into the regards of what we might see for the future episodes of Ahsoka, maybe hinting at a potential appearance of Boba or Mando making an appearance or a cameo somewhat in the Ahsoka show. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and hop right on into it. In this video, we are going to be taking a read from the Direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. As a read, Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka Tano appearance in the Book of Boba Fett was recently omitted from a list of essential episodes to rewatch before Disney Plus's Ahsoka. After taking leading roles in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels animated shows, Ahsoka made her live-action debut in The Mandalorian Season 2 and in the Book of Boba Fett, played by Rosario Dawson, setting the stage for her own live-action solo show. So seeing that her Book of Boba Fett episode, or the episode that she does appear in with the Book of Boba Fett, episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett is arguably probably one of the best episodes of the show, and also one of just the best, like, things of Star Wars, I think, in my own thoughts and opinions, that we've ever gotten. That episode was left out of those, like, key essential episodes that you're gonna want to maybe rewatch or look into before seeing the Ahsoka show. Now, despite that, we are already 2 episodes into the Ahsoka show already, so it might be a little too late to go back and rewatch some of these, but hey, if you wanna, you might as well. Anyway, the official Star Wars site had published a list of 10 essential Ahsoka Tano episodes to rewatch ahead of the premiere of her own new live-action show, Ahsoka, but there was one major omission from the article. The 10 episodes including Ahsoka's most important storylines across the Clone Wars and Rebels, along with the Tales of the Jedi animated shows, which featured her as a newborn, like, youngling, and her live-action debut in The Mandalorian Season 2. That list contains Tales of the Jedi Episode 1, titled Life and Death, The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 19, Storm over Ryloth, The Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 11, Lightsaber Lost, The Clone Wars Season 3, Episode 10, Heroes on Both Sides, The Clone Wars Season 3, Episode 16, Altar of Mortis, The Clone Wars Season 3, Episode 21, Padawan Lost, The Clone Wars Season 5, Episode 20, The Wrong Jedi, The Clone Wars Season 7, Episodes 9 through 12, Saigon Mandalore Arc, and Star Wars Rebels Season 2, Episodes 21 and 22, Twilight of the Apprentice, The Mandalorian Season 2 as well, Episode 5, called The Jedi. So that's like the official list that Star Wars had put out themselves of, like, key important, like, shows or, like, rewatches that you're gonna want to maybe know of or want to actually watch before seeing the Ahsoka show, because they're probably going to play some type of prominent role here going forward for the overall Ahsoka show. One major omission, though, however, from the ranking came with Ahsoka's second live-action appearance in her last one prior to her solo show, the Ahsoka show, which came with a minor cameo in the Book of Boba Fett Episode 6. Arguably, that cameo isn't, like, make or break what we see with the Ahsoka show, but I think that it does kind of leave out one key element for what we may see going forward for the Ahsoka show, and that by of which, as much as I think a lot of Star Wars fans want to see it, would be some type of meeting between Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka. I just don't think that Luke is going to make a cameo in the Ahsoka show, but I would love to see Lucasfilm prove me wrong in that. Their specific list is limited to 10 slots, so they have to kind of pick and choose, like, key specific appearances, or even narratives that we would see, like, reoccur into what we're going to see with the Ahsoka show, because I think if that was the case, and that they were just going to put, like, anything and everything on that list, and to just kind of, like, go on and on and on, they would put every other Ahsoka appearance on there. And at that, although Ahsoka's role in the Book of Boba Fett was a minor one, as she was mainly there to kind of just deter Din Djarin from interrupting Grogu's training with Luke Skywalker, it did come with an exciting reveal for many Star Wars fans, as that both Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka would, like, actually know each other. I don't necessarily think that that completely takes away from having Luke Skywalker appear in the Ahsoka show, and that it would much rather be, like, more of a flashback sequence, if for anything, and that it would be a meeting between these two characters in a flashback sequence. All in all, though, however, her overall, like, scene in the Book of Boba Fett isn't relatively very important. The scene featured the first ever conversation between Ahsoka and Luke as the son of the former master Anakin, along with indicating that she may have been involved with the early days of this Jedi's new school that we see throughout the sequel trilogy. The Jedi pair discussed Grogu's training, and Ahsoka even delivered a few references to her time under Anakin with lines like, "Sometimes the student guides the master, and so much like your father." They're just minor things like that, nothing something that necessarily makes or break like the overall narrative or story that we're going to see with the Ahsoka show. I think it kind of diminishes some of the chances that we have of Luke appearing in a cameo with the Ahsoka show, but not entirely. Like I had mentioned, having some type of small flashback sequence for a few short minutes between Luke and Ahsoka, like officially actually meeting for the first time ever, is really something that could totally actually really work. What I don't really like though, however, with them not having this included on that list, because I think that they could have if they really wanted to, is that I feel like in a way they're almost like throwing shade towards the Book of Boba Fett, like their own Star Wars project, wanting maybe nothing to really do with it. But the Book of Boba Fett unfortunately wasn't received as well to the fans as they would have hoped it would have been, and I think for that reason they might be trying to like separate themselves from the Book of Boba Fett maybe a little bit more, but maybe that's just a stretch. I do believe though, however, it takes out a lot of those chances of having like even some type of reference or any cameo from Boba Fett himself in the Ahsoka show, although I think a lot of us would really like it, seeing that the Ahsoka show going forward is this new quote-unquote world-building show for the Mandoverse. That's something that we initially first saw with the Mandalorian Season 2 and Season 3, having that world-building technique to it, having all these different characters, like main characters specifically, essentially, and the story becoming less like just about Din Djarin and Grogu just as themselves. We saw with the Mandalorian Season 3 finale though, however, like a quote-unquote soft reboot with the whole Mandoverse here, and that they're going to like take away from that world-building aspect of the Mandalorian show and now pass that torch over to the Ahsoka show, is what a lot of Star Wars fans are speculating, saying, and thinking, and that's exactly what we already are seeing with the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka. So there's an opportunity for them to bring Boba Fett into the Ahsoka show and like set things up at least for him and for what we're going to see maybe with a potential Book of Boba Fett Season 2. I have a whole nother like video discussing and talking about a potential leaked The Book of Boba Fett Season 2 being leaked and like kind of like confirmed, I think, at that in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. This here all being said though, however, when and will Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker actually meet again? The Book of Boba Fett's omission from the essential Ahsoka Tano episodes before seeing the Ahsoka show may initially appear minor, as her role only really amounted to a brief cameo at that, but while the moment may have been relatively insignificant for her character overall, it did bring a major reveal in confirming her friendship with Luke Skywalker, and that these two characters really do know each other, and at that have a whole relationship, a whole friendship, I think, that's there, as that has been omitted from Ahsoka's supposed most important appearances. That may suggest her involvement with Luke won't be relevant to her own show, unfortunately, with Ahsoka being set in the Mandoverse after the events of Return of the Jedi, focusing on the Jedi and featuring Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker. Many were hoping to see Luke Skywalker appear once again. They might as well throw it into the mixture of things, but if that's not what we're going to be seeing, then I guess we can move on. One could speculate Ahsoka may take place before the Book of Boba Fett, as its whole timelining is a little bit confusing, but that generally seems rather unlikely. After all, Thrawn still hadn't returned in The Mandalorian Season 3, which takes place after the Book of Boba Fett, as he will seemingly do at some point across Ahsoka's 8-episode run. Also with the fact that the Sabine Wren actress for live action, Natasha Liu Bordizzo, did reveal that the Ahsoka show is taking place alongside exactly when The Mandalorian Season 3 is taking place. So for those of you that might be a little bit confused on when the Ahsoka show is taking place, it's essentially taking place at the same time as The Mandalorian Season 3, maybe a little bit after that. I'll have a whole nother video discussing and talking about when the Ahsoka show is actually taking place, so all the more reason to grab that subscribe button if you haven't already. It's also possible that Luke could still come into play at some point or in some type of form in Ahsoka, but if he doesn't, when could these two Jedi actually cross paths once again in the Mandoverse? The two last parted with Ahsoka responding with a simple perhaps after Luke had questioned, "Will I see you again?" seemingly teasing their reunion at some point, while also suggesting that this was maybe one of their first times that they had actually met with each other. Perhaps the most obvious place would come in Dave Filoni's upcoming theatrical Star Wars movie that had been confirmed and officially announced a little bit earlier this year at the Star Wars Celebration, which is expected to cultivate the Mandoverse and bring together a massive cast for a big meetup to take on Grand Admiral Thrawn and his army. It seems likely that both Ahsoka and Luke will ultimately appear in the movie and hopefully cross paths once again there, maybe even fighting side by side, or perhaps that they could and would appear elsewhere together before that in the Mandoverse, maybe even in a potential Ahsoka Season 2, but for the time being, I want to know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. What do you guys want to see with Ahsoka and with a potential meeting between Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker? I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one, guys. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.